I've just read the action item here, and we're waiting for a second to discuss Malcolm Young. You going to second it? Second. All right, so moved by Board Member Bear and seconded by Board Member Wiggins. So calling staff for an overview. Do we really need one? Go for it.
No, I don't think there's really much more to state at this point. I've provided we have the consultants that are here that have provided an analysis as to what they've done, the timeline of which you should anticipate, and the general costs that would come of a full assessment for Malcolm Young, as well as a full assessment for the next item, which is the Cobb Center. So be glad to answer any other questions you may have.
Okay, so anything from the board at this time, or do we want to take public comment?
And the vote is up on the screen, by the way, for us. Yeah.
Patton's hands raised.
What?
Patton's hands raised. Patton looks like she wants to speak.
Wait.
Okay.
I don't have a vote up on my screen.
It's gone now.
Okay. All right, so Board Member Patton, if you would. No?
She is.
Sorry,
That's okay.
I got it on now. Thank you, Madam Chair. So I just wanted to kind of give my thoughts on this discussion, and I'll do it briefly because I'm having a hard time talking. But and just so you guys know, this was the jaw surgery that I've been waiting for, so apologies if you can't understand me. I'll do my best. But I do think, I understand our community's need for more space for our kids to learn in, to play in, to thrive in. I will say, though, having listened to everything that we've been told about the Malcolm Young Center, about how much it's going to cost for the assessment, what the likely results of that assessment are going to be, the costs of repair, if we're going to create more gym space, I don't think that's the place in this building with a repair strategy to do it. And so just wanted to kind of, I understand what we need to achieve as a city, but I don't think saving Malcolm Young is the way to achieve it. It's a 60-some-year-old building. Even if we were able to repair it, we wouldn't get, the life out of it probably that we could out of some other asset. And so the mayor's last comments are comments I agree with. And so I'm not really interested in supporting a full structural assessment and paying for that when I don't think ultimately it's going to lead us to, I think it's going to be money that we're going to spend that we're not going to get back out of our CRA. And I don't think it's a wise financial move. I do think we ought to continue to look for other ways of creating this space and continue to really, push forward with those discussions. So thank you.
Thank you, Board Member. Anything else from the board members, or do we want to, I'm sorry, Board Member Jones?
Yeah, thank you. I'll just say, kind of added on to our discussion earlier too, but I think that we absolutely need more gym space, and we absolutely need to support programs like Mr. Washington's. And I agree. I don't think that this is a viable solution at Malcolm Young. So I don't think that we should go forward with this full assessment. I do know that if we were to move forward with demolition, that's not saying there still has to be a decision made on what goes there.
Correct.
So that is another conversation for another day. But I do think that if no one else does, I'll make a motion, but I do want to hear from others and from the public as
And
well.
we do have public, so
Yeah.
we do have other board members as well.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Board Member Wiggins?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do agree we don't need to spend any more extra money because we know the building needs to come down. However, I'm in agreement also with Board Member Moore that this parcel needs to stay in Parks and Recs. So I do believe if we tear this gym space down, we also need to replace it because there's nowhere else to build in the city other than where we at. So I agree we don't need to put any more extra money into Malcolm Young. It does need to come down, but I also think that, that parcel needs to stay within Parks and Recs to look at another gym. Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Bear?
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's interesting that I'm the one that made the motion, and ultimately that motion is probably going to lead to a different outcome because we were told earlier that if we change this to demolition, that we could, if we did it by the end of the month, we could be successful in working with the current contractor. So I feel like I've just made a motion to create a vehicle so that someone else on the board can make a motion to amend this and go for demolition. So maybe I should have kept my mouth shut. I really, personally, the amount of money we'd have to spend to do the assessment, the full assessment, and the time that would elapse, and then once we got through that, having to, take the actions necessary to have it done, I think 12 months to a year and a half is very optimistic. It probably, in this environment, would take longer than that, and I feel like Mr. Washington needs something more quickly than that. And I do agree that this parcel, was private. We did have an agreement with Lighthouse, and based on the things that have transpired since that, with the building being not occupiable, unsafe to occupy, whatever you want to say it, that contract had to be broken. So for us to go, I know that one of the suggestions Mr. Gunther made was that we lease it to you all and allow you to make the repairs. But, I kind of think that takes it out of the public realm again. So I am finding some common ground with what's been said, though, from Councilman Moore and from Councilman Wiggins, Board Member Wiggins and Board Member Moore, that I've had some heartburn over making this into affordable housing. I know that's not an easy thing to just say, hey, we've got this piece of property, build affordable housing here. And, we've tried to get grant money for that other places. And, I'm just not sure this is the best place to put affordable housing. So I would rather see it stay within the inventory as well. I know we have a lot of property. I know our Parks and Rec director is here. We've got lots of acreage where we have parks. And, I also realize that there's been some talk about converting some of our parks to private use. I don't really support that. And in this case, I would be open if we weren't going to go the route of turning it into affordable housing tonight. I may be willing to go for demolition if we have a commitment. This will stay as Parks and Rec property, and eventually we can look at doing something on this site that will benefit the citizens of our city, and not just a small number that'll get affordable housing. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to call on the public now. So Fred Gunther is first.
Chairperson Braher, board members. We're not here kept pushing for a full structural assessment of this building either. Like I said, we have a guaranteed maximum price quote to fix it. Now, the structural engineer may have some things they don't like about that, but it doesn't, to me, make sense. You've got in the LICIT proposal, there's a field report. It lays out 3 options for repair. 2 of those are using structural epoxy like FRP and Quake-Wrap has proposed. Maybe the methodology is a little bit different, but there's no reason that can't be adjusted. I mean, to me, it makes sense to go ahead and put it out. You've got a repair recommendation to put it out for bid for a Florida licensed GC and a Florida licensed PE to collaborate, provide a bid to repair Cobb Center. And if you're going to do that, it makes sense to go ahead and get that quote from Malcolm Young as well. If, all the construction specs can be submitted with the RFP, and if there's something in particular, that we could have LICIT review it, and if there's something particular that needs to be changed, we could change it. But I love the discussion on the new gym, but I'm also cognizant there's also so much funding to go around. So that's why I'm like, why spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on additional assessments when you already have a recommendation on how to repair these glulam arches? So obviously, I'd like for you to consider, consider doing that. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Washington?
Once again, regardless of which way, you know, the CRA board, the Senate Council decide to go with this, we would like to know what's the plan for the new gym. I know they keep saying we'll get a new gym or we'll find a space, and then the conversation just dropped. It's like, you know, you're just wiping us, you know, let's get this done and forget it. And when we look at gym space, Cobb Center can't hold that many people with 2 goals in there. You know, it's Bayview Park. I know it's, you know, is that open to the public? Do they have goals in there? Anybody know? I'm not sure. They don't have any goals in there. They used to have goals back in the day. And who else? Guard Point. They have a half a court, I think. It's not much space in there. And we know Legion Field and Vickery Center, it's nowhere for the kids. And we're talking about the money, but it's still nobody not seeing the kids. You're not taking the investment of our future. And that's the part that disturbs me the most. It's like we just, you know, we're overlooking it. Now, as far as the housing part of it, that's my opinion here. One, we always talk about affordable housing, but they're not affordable. You know, these new houses they building downtown, these $400,000 and $500,000 condos, and I don't know many people can afford those. Then we came back with attainable housing, and that wasn't working because nobody couldn't attain them because it's the same price. Now we're coming back workforce housing, and you know, maybe the middle class people, police officers, teachers, nurses, yeah, they can get those houses maybe. And nothing really dispels the homelessness that I thought we was trying to address. So we closed down in Scammy Arms, which was low-income housing. We closed down Aragon Court, which was low-income housing. And I never hear the term low-income housing because if we're going to have to do something with the homeless people, and that's a term you probably don't want to hear, is low-income housing. You know, something nice and something affordable for those folks. But those have been closed down, and when you close them down, it's just creating more of a problem. But I would just like to know, what's the plan for our space, our warehouse? Give us anything that we can run our program and have kids coming in and show that we invest in our kids and investing in the future. And that's our biggest thing, is for the kids. And I kind of feel like that investment, everybody just move on, let's do this, and keep forgetting about the kids. And Madam Chairman, you know, your kids went to school with my kids, and my son did extremely well, academically and athletically. I asked him about coming back to Pensacola. He's in Atlanta. He's a civil engineer. He's doing extremely well. Will you come back to Pensacola? Heck no. Because of the opportunities. It's not, there are a lot of people, not just my son, many kids in Orlando, Atlanta, Houston, Dallas, they're doing extremely well. A lot of these kids gonna do well. And they on that track of being successful. And if we don't have that space for them that's safe, that it's not gonna be crime, it's not gonna be gunplay, it's not gonna be gangs, you know, that safe place that everybody come together, kids from all walks of life, and they know they gotta make grades, and they know they gotta have good conduct and behavior, and they know whatever we doing, you know, you see our kids. It's hard to get kids to sit down for 2 hours and be quiet and be still. But our kids are doing it. So can somebody just tell me what would be the plan or what would be the space that may, you know, that we can kind of walk away with something. I don't know if you got an old abandoned church or something. I don't know.
Can I ask where you are now?
We like nomads in the desert. You know, we get 1 or 2 nights at Cobb. We're at Lakeview for 1 or 2 nights. We're at Gateway Church for 1 or 2 nights. We're at Wedgewood for 1 or 2 nights. And we're at Woodland for 1 night. But if they said, oh, excuse me, coach, we have an event coming up. So now all those kids and all those families and people coming from all around, you know, we got to stop it. It's hectic trying to manage, and we all over the place. And we'll practice outside. But now, you know, it's getting dark earlier. In the summertime, you got the monsoon season with the tropical rains, hurricanes, you know, but we go to other cities and we travel all over. We in Dallas, Orlando, Fort Lauderdale, Miami, Birmingham, Atlanta, Cincinnati. Our kids are somewhere everywhere. And when I'm looking at those cities, and the first thing we say when we go to their facilities, oh man, I wish we had something like this with 6 and 8 courts where you can do some things. And I've been hearing talk that they was talking about doing something at Brossenham Park about an 8-court gym in Brossenham. That's not going to help these kids in town. They don't have transportation even to get the Cobb Center.
Well, no, that's probably why it's good that you're moving around the city so that you are addressing these different neighborhoods. I mean, that is beneficial.
Yeah, but it's the stability and
I get that, but once again, to get us back to where we are right here, is that we have to assess what we can afford to fund and which way we can go as a board, and we all love to see you have success. There's no doubt about that.
it's not me, it's the kids. Please don't look at me. Okay? All I'm doing is what somebody did for me.
I understand.
I don't have a kid in the program. All right, and I see what's going on with these kids. And nobody don't want to look at that. Everybody turn their head.
No, that's not true. I think
then
that
why
really
we not
and truly
doing nothing?
nobody up here wants to displace any child. No one wants to do that. But we are trying to find out how to keep the most children in a place. So I just want one idea, and I'm going to, Mr. Fiddler has his raised, is that what the mayor said earlier, and I don't know if the analogy was caught on to, but if we have a place here and one here, and they're both falling, and this one's falling faster, and if we spread our money, they both collapse. But if we save one, then we've got one secured. And that's really what the unfortunate situation we're in, is that we have 2 buildings that are both in very, very bad shape, and we've probably got the funds for one. And so do we try to split the difference and let them both collapse, or do we concentrate on one? That's really where we are. Mr. Fiddler?
Yeah, I'm going to have David clarify something.
Actually, that Board Chair Breyer, that's actually what I was going to mention, just kind of reiterate what the mayor said, and you just hit the nail on the head. It really is just looking at the resources that are available to us and applying them appropriately. But there's no action that has to be made tonight as to what the actual future of the Malcolm Young site is. The action that's before the board is either to proceed forward with the comprehensive building assessment for Malcolm Young, and as I've laid out the time and the costs anticipated for that, or there's the opportunity to still entertain the demolition of the facility with the understanding of the condition it's in. We within a matter of a couple of weeks can be back before this board with another discussion item to further discuss, if the board were to elect to go the demolition route, to further discuss the actual use of the site. Is it another gym? Is it a gym with a park? Is it just a passive park? Whatever that winds up being, is it affordable or workforce housing? That's not the action tonight. The action tonight is, do we believe it's a viable facility to try to restore, or do we repurpose the site in a different way or in a similar way?
So,
That's,
and just for historic purposes, to make sure that we've got this right, it is this board that approved it for demolition. It was that other group, those city council people, that sent it back.
different
okay?
hats, right?
All right, so it was not this board who declined before. It was city council who canceled it. And so just to be sure here that what this action item is to whether fund the $200,000 towards a full assessment or not? Literally, right now, that's all that's on the table, is do we fund for a full assessment or not? That's where we are.
I will say that, I'm sorry, it is going to be north of $200,000. It's going to be probably closer to $300,000. I just wanted to make that for
Okay.
the record for Malcolm Young.
Yes,
For
just for
Cobb
Malcolm
Center,
Young.
for Cobb
That's a
Center, it's in,
different one,
for
because
Cobb
that
Center,
one's
that's
referred
the next
back to
item.
city
Yes,
council,
so Malcolm
not
Young is in
to-
that 275 to 300 range.
Yeah, okay. So this action item right here is very specifically to fund full assessment or not, and that's where we are, my fellow board members.
Okay, so it's not fund Malcolm Young assessment or do the demolition.
Right now, what is before us is to fund the full assessment. That's it. That's what we're asked to do. Are we willing to go forward and fund this full assessment? That's where we are, right this moment.
Correct.
Which could be amended, but that's not what's before us right this moment.
That's what I kind of, okay.
All right? Thank you.
I normally, yeah, we don't have buttons. I normally don't speak at CRA meetings because I'm normally not even at the CRA meetings. But I wanted to speak to Coach Washington. Our new Parks and Rec director is sitting in the audience, and he has heard everything you've said. He's heard everything your program participants have said. And he and I have talked about the need for your program to have space. And I know that he is committed to looking at every possible conceivable opportunity, both immediate, short-term, and long-term, for ways to accommodate your program. I will tell you that sitting here 3 minutes ago, I had a harebrained idea, and I'm not even going to say out loud what it is because I don't know if it's even viable, but I had a harebrained idea that I'm going to explore starting tomorrow that might help you as well.
There's a reason they don't have buttons.
Very wise. Very wise.
All right. Is there any further discussion among us? All right.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I know it's been mentioned, like, why don't we go for grant funding for this? And that would be great. But our narrative is that we had a building we built in 1960 and we didn't maintain it at all for 62 years. And now we want you to give us money to fix it. And I think that's a really hard sell. If we'd maintained this building and kept it up, I think that'd be different. But I really think our options are very, very limited here. And that's why I think we're on this this precipice here of deciding whether we're going to demolish it, whether we're going to do a full assessment. The full assessment's going to be, it's going to be having to shore up first and then do that. It's going to take quite a bit of time. And I don't even know if we got that full assessment, if we would have the means to be able to fund it. And we're not going to be able to get grant funds, I don't think, for that. We probably have better luck getting grant funds for some new facility. There are avenues we can go for facilities to address that. But at this point, I think, as the chairperson said, we're just considering whether we're going to do the full assessment, and unless there's an amendment, which I think might be coming soon.
Well, that is where we are, because I'm going to call for a vote. Unless
And
Now, if I might just interject, if there is a desire for an amended motion, it should occur prior to the vote on the original motion.
Well, that's
one-
why I'm
one
saying, no, I'm just saying that's where we
Yeah,
are
yeah,
here.
yeah.
So if someone's going to do it, they need to do it, because
I've
I'm
got my
calling for a
button.
vote.
I've got my button.
It has come up now.
Thank you.
Councilmember board member, council board.
Yes. Whoever you are. Yeah, so I would like to make a motion to amend this item to match the item that we had last month. Is there a way to do that? Which is to accept the bid that's on the table for demolition.
We would need a second. Do you want to?
If this,
I'm just
if-
looking
if
to
this, I'll say, just to speak on that real quick, the demolition quote expires at the end of this month. So it would have to go out for bids again if we
I
decide
think he
that's
said
what we
we've got
wanted to
till
do.
next month.
Am I allowed to speak during, okay, so.
Not really. I mean, we're way out of turn right here.
So
We
the
would need a second to-
contractor is willing to honor the bid through the end of this month, through the end of January. He has worked with his bid bond company to extend it through the end of this month.
I'll second.
There you go, there's your second. Now, is there discussion on this new amendment, the amended motion, which is to accept the bid for demolition and allow it to move forward? Is there any discussion on that? Would we allow we would, because this is a new motion, we would have to allow the public if they would wish to speak on this.
That's correct.
So if there's anyone that would like to speak on this new motion, which would demolish this building, now is your time.
And if,
All right, anybody? Board Member Bear?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So when we took this up before, was the affordable housing attached to that last item?
sir.
It was not. It was just the
sir.
demolition. So
Correct.
this
There was a-
one's just demolition, no attachment of future use. Okay.
if the board elects for an item to come before you next month or soon thereafter, we'll be glad to bring an action item, discussion item for future use, repurposing of, or whatever the purposing of the site would be. If,
And for total clarity, once more time here, this does not transfer the land into anything else. It remains in
Correct.
Parks and Rec until there's a later discussion.
correct.
All right, anything else from these fine board members? All right, then I'm going to call for the vote. And the vote is on the amended version, which allows for the demolition to take place.
Do we have to vote on the amendment first and then go back to the main?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. We vote on the amendment first.
Correct.
Okay, so let's vote on the amendment first, and then we go back to the original. Is that what you're saying? Or no, we vote on the. We vote on the motion as amended. Thank you.
I vote yes on the motion as amended.
Thank you. Thank you, board member. Just a reminder that you have to push save after you choose it. Push save. Oh, that's it. Councilmember, or Board Member Moores is still up. Is that an issue?
I took care of him. I abstained him since
Okay,
he's not
thank you.
present.